This is Word Module 3, the textbook project, and we're breaking it up into two parts, parts 1 and parts 2. I've already done the changing of the text to 24 point and using the word art, this style right here. So we're good over here. So we're working on number 2. We've done the 24 point, and we want to change the text to green accent 6, 25%. And darker, which that's darker 25%. That is number 3. And select the heading, Career Connections Webinar. And we want to change it to 14, bold, and italic. So here's 14, bold, and italic. Of course, you can always do it from up top here if you don't like that. And we want blue, accent 1, darker 25%. So here is blue, accent 1. This should be darker 25%. That takes care of this. We're going to select Career Connections, and we're going to use the Format Painter. So what we're going to do is copy the format from this to the other. So I'm just clicking on Format Painter, and then we're going to go to this social media advertising. I'm just going to click and notice that it changed. Now, when you only click on it one time, it only lets you change one other. If you double click on it, you can keep doing it. So it's going to actually have you do this now. So we have the social media campaign. I'm going to double click on it. And we're going to do upcoming conferences, technical careers division. And let's see what else. That's just it. Nothing else. Then I'll click one more time to undo it. So no more Format Painter. We're going to press Control N. We're already down here. And it wants us to, let's see, Control N, and we're going to type in prepared by. So I'm pressing Control N. So I'm at the very bottom, typing in prepared by, it says space and your name, another space, and then the date. So if you insert the date, and here's date and time, remember that if you click on update automatically, what will happen is if I open up this document tomorrow, instead of saying 6/29, it's going to say 6/30. So I'm going to leave this unchecked in here. And it wants us to do insert the date and time, and it wants us to do the third style. So 1, 2, 3. Click on OK. Now this is identical as if you just typed in June 29th in here. So the next thing it wants us to do is hit the Enter key, and we're going to put the copyright symbol. So I'm hitting the Enter key, and I'm just clicking on symbol, and it should be there for you. And here's our copyright. And then we're going to put in the copyright symbol, and we're going to type a space bar and then JCL Talent. And it wants us to click the Home tab and then press Control Home to go to the top of the document. So we are now officially on top. And it does give you a way how you can unformat text in here. So if you want to unformat it, this will clear all the formatting and do everything in here. So if I were to click on this, notice that it undid everything. It made it what it was in the very beginning. So let's undo this and get it back to the way it was. Alright, so now we are moving on. And we're going to be talking about tabs. So let me move this over here. If you look up top here, you see the tab. This is a left, center. What center does, if whoever the tab is, it centers it right on the tab. The right tab, obviously, is right aligned. And decimal tab you use when you're lining up numbers that have decimal points in here. So we're going to set some tab spots here. And we're going to go select the first line here and all 5 lines. And what we're going to be doing is putting tabs in here. So it tells us to point to this over here, which is the left, and it wants us to put it on the 1 inch mark, which is right here. All you have to do is click. And then to go to the 3 3/4 and do another one. So 3 3/4 is right here. And let's see what then it wants a right tab at 5. So to get right, I'm just going to click till you see the little right here, and I'm going to click on the 5. So if you go into paragraph now in tabs, you'll see that we set these up, one at 1, 3.75, and 5. Now you cannot change something in here. You can only delete it and redo it. So that takes care of number 4. Place the insertion point before webinar. And it tells us to hit the tab key. And notice that you have the little arrow there. Now the reason why it didn't make an indent is because we put a tab at 1 inch in here. So then it wants us to press a tab before date and cost. And notice how it lines up. This is right, and this is left, and this, of course, is left. Then it wants us to do the same thing before each one. So that takes care of that. Place insert the tab at the beginning of each remaining lag. So I'm going to hit tab, 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 and tab. Now you have to do them one at a time. Otherwise, it will actually create an indent for you. So it's kind of a little bit more work, but it works. So do this. Tab. Tab. So now everything's lined up. Then it's going to select the 5 lines and drag the right tab stop to 5.5. So you can see it's at 5, so we're going to just take it and click on the tab itself. Don't click off the tab because it'll insert another one. So just take it and drag it to here. And if you go into tabs, you can see that it changed to 5.5. And let's see, select the 5 lines. Okay, so now it wants us to do dot leaders. So it only wants us to do these 4 lines here. So again, we have to go back into tabs. And we're going to click on 2 here. Now, you got to make sure that if you want to do more than 1 before you move to the next one, actually, let me cancel that. And go back to tabs. And we were selecting the 3.75 and 2. Make sure you click set. And same thing with set. And then OK. So now you can see we have dot leaders here. And this is what it should look like. So moving on. Borders and shading. So we're going to select the 5 borders over here, or the 5 paragraphs, and it wants us to click the shading over here, and it says in the 5 paragraphs, we want to do blue accent 1, lighter 80%. So this should be blue accent 1, and this is lighter 80%. Now notice that the border goes all the way from margin to margin. We're going to fix that in the next step. So we're going to select the 5 markers, or the 5 lines here. We're going to change the left indent over here, and we're going to move everything over to 3/4 of an inch. And then the right one we're moving to 5 3/4. So I'm taking this one here. Now, if you don't like dragging it, just go in a paragraph. And left in here actually should be 3/4, so I'm going to change this to 0.75. And the right is, so this is a little bit challenging. Do you put in 1/4 or do you put in here? So let's just drag this over here and I'll show you the difference. So let's go back into tabs and notice that is a 0.75. So if you were to put in 5.75, it would be way over here. So you have to notice the difference between this and this, but on the left you don't have to worry about it. So we're good over here. So notice that it now looks a lot nicer. And this is what we should be looking at. So you can see that that works out good. So now we're going to do a border, and we're going to take away the border. Then we're going to do the border another way. So the first thing it tells us to do is select these over here again. And it wants us to select the border here and choose outside borders. And the reason why it's showing this, because I've already set the borders manually. So let me go and into borders and page borders and change this to none. And so it's actually not change this to none. And it's still not cooperating, so let's go and try it again. Actually, we'll do it from here. It can be a little bit frustrating. Let's just change this to none. So, because I've already set it, and I'm using the same document, it's trying to use my last settings in page borders. So let's see what we have in here. So now it should be good. So we should be okay. So let's go back in. So this worked out good because now you can see if things are not what you want, how to fix it. So let's go back in and select it again. And let's go to borders here. And we want borders and shading. Actually, we want outside borders. So now we have what we want. Then it wants us to go and undo them by choosing no border. And this time, now we're going to go into borders and shading. Oops. And we want a box with the double line. And let me see what the color is. Blue accent 1, darker 25%. So that should be this. And the width, I believe, is 3/4. Correct. All right. So please remember, I'm working off two screens and going back and forth, so it's very easy to lose my place. Select the first line of tab text. So obviously we need to click OK first. Select the first line of tab text. And it wants us to use bold and blue accent 1. So I don't have the mini toolbar in here. I'll just click bold here. And I'll go to blue accent 1. And let's see, darker 25%. And that looks good. And then it tells you how to underline text in here. Inserting a table is really pretty easy. There's several different ways to do it. And we can insert a table, draw a table. I'm not a big fan of drawing a table, but you can. So there you can read about that in table 3.2. So we want to point to, let's see where it wants us to be. Scroll down to the insertion point in a blank paragraph before upcoming paragraphs. So we have before upcoming paragraphs. We're going to go to insert and table. Now you can actually point in here. I believe it wants a 2x4 in here. But if you don't like that or it's hard for you, just click again, insert table, and then you can select which ones that you want to do. So it wants a 2x4. So we want 4 rows and 2 columns. So you do it however way you want to do it. It's going to come out and give you exactly the same. So that was number 2. Number 3, we're going to type platform here. And to get to the next cell, which would be right here, you can either click in it or you can hit the tab key. The tab key is not going to give you a tab inside the cell. If you want a tab, you need to hit Control Tab, and that will take care of it. So we type platform, then we're going to type marketing goal. Hitting the tab key takes you to the next row. So then there's Facebook and follower count. Then hitting tab, let's see what else is here. Then we want Instagram. Brand awareness. LinkedIn. And website. Traffic. Conversions. And now I'm at the end. So if I hit tab, it's going to insert another row for me at the bottom, which it did. And let's see what it wants us to type in. So we're doing WhatsApp. And website traffic. Hitting tab key again. Of course, I know I spelled traffic wrong. And Twitter. And promoted tweets. Now, if you hit the enter key here, it just inserts a line inside of the cell. So it won't take you to the next one. So that takes care of number 8. And I want to show you something in here. If you're having trouble reading what's inside these tables, you can click this plus sign and we'll give you a larger image in here. So it'll take a while to get there, but then it's easier. Now when we get to the part where we're putting in numbers, you'll see that's going to make a big difference in there. So that takes care of number 8. Moving on. And we're going to go to the Twitter row, and we're going to insert a row. So here's Twitter. And if I go into the Twitter row, you'll see a little circle with a plus. So here it is. If I click on it, it's going to insert a row above it. So notice that it's a little circle and a plus. So let's go to click the first cell and type Snapchat. And brand awareness. Hopefully I spelled it right. Move the pointer to the margin to the left of Instagram until the pointer changes. Select the row and hold the mouse button down and select that. So here is Instagram. So basically we're just selecting both of those rows in here. So now we're going to click on the Table Tools Layout tab and click on Insert Below. I can also use this here, or I can click on the Layout tab and do it from there. So since I deleted that, so here is our Insert Below. Now because we have 2 rows selected, it's going to insert 2 rows, which is 2 blank rows. And let's see, Table Tools below. Click the WhatsApp row and delete button. So what we want to do is click the WhatsApp row and delete it. So we can just choose delete here. And then we want to delete the row. Then it wants us to delete the, let's see, select the 2 blank rows and delete that. Now I'm going to hit F4 to see, since that's the last thing I did was delete, and it deleted it there. So that worked out good. Place the pointer over the top marketing border column goal, which is right here, and we want to select it. And then it says insert the right button. So we want to type, let's see, insert to the right. So we want to insert, and I can click here. But let's see what happens when we click. Notice that it did it to the right, or we could have clicked on insert right, either one. So now we have a blank row here, wants us to do cost something or other, cost basis. And let's see, then it says place a pointer between marketing goal and cost basis, and click the insert type row to type budget. So we want a row here. And what I'm going to do here, just so we know exactly what we want, and I'm going to click here. But if you're not sure what's going to happen, but you notice the little bars down there, just click on insert left or insert right. And so if you don't get what you want, you can always undo it. You could have always clicked on the insert left here. So now we've taken that, and then we want to type in budget. So press the down arrow key to position in the next cell, and then we have budget and cost. So I'm going to click on a plus sign to make it a little bit bigger to read. So the budget is going to be $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $2,500, and $22,000 rather. And cost basis is going to be CPM, CPM, CPC, CPM, and CPE. And I'm going to save this here. And that is all of that section. So now we're going to do a table style. So I'm on section 3.6. So we're going to click the Table Tools Layout tabs and choose Auto Fit. Now, I don't like what it's going to do. It's going to make it kind of shrink. But when it does everything, it just shrinks it down to the smallest that it can be and fit everything in. So let's click on the Auto Fit Contents. And I'm not a big fan of the way that looks, but hey, what do I know? So that took care of this. Then we're going to go into the Table Tools, more buttons in the Style Groups. So I'm on the Table Design. Here are Table Styles. And then we're clicking on the More. It wants us to find a gallery, and let's see which one it wants. It wants Grid Dark, Table 5, Accent 1. So that should be this one here. Grid Table 5, Accent 1. So that looks good. So now you can see it's applied to the style. So this is, you can see it there. And then unfortunately it's going to have you do something else, but that's okay. So we're going to go down, and now this time we're going to do Grid Table 2, Accent 3. And that's kind of hard to find in here. So let's go down here. And as many times as I do it, I can never remember where it is. So the rule is, take a look at this. This is Grid 1. And you can see the different ones in here. This is Grid 1, Grid 3, Grid 5, Grid 7. So that's kind of a way to do it. So if we want Grid 2, it should be up top here. So this is Grid 1. Now we start with Grid Table 2. And then we want Grid Table 2, Accent Style 3. So that's Accent 1, Accent 2, Accent 3. So now we have what it wants us to have. Then we're going to uncheck the banded rows. When you have banded rows, notice that every other row is formatted differently. So I'm going to click the banded rows, and you can see that that takes care of that. just to show you, I'm going to click on banded columns, and you can see that every other column is changed. Doesn't tell us to do that right now. So we uncheck the banded rows, select the first column, which is right here. And on the mini toolbar, it wants it to be green, accent 625. So we need to find green, accent 6, and then it wants it to be 25% darker. So that's good. And then the first row, which will override what we just did, it wants blue accent 125%. So here's blue accent 1, and this is 25% darker. Select the budget and cost columns, so we're just going to select them both here and change it to center. So I'm going to go home and just click on center. Now we're going to click the move handle, click the home in here, and deselect the table. So here is this, we'll select it in here. So it says click the move table handle, click the home tab, and click center. So that will actually center the table. You could also go into layout and properties, and you can see table and center from here if you prefer. So again, there's always several different ways to do the exact same thing. So this is the completed table. So hopefully mine looks like this one, which I believe it does. And let's see. So that is everything there. And we'll just do the online pictures, and then we'll end it there. So we'll do up to 3.7, and we'll do the rest in part 2. So one of the issues is going to be the picture they want you to do is not the one that's going to show up when we do this. So we have to pick a different one. So it tells us to go to the top, and we're going to go to Insert, and then Online Pictures, and it says type in meeting. So we'll search, and it does not give us the ones that it tells us to look for. So I'm going to let it just search for a few more and see what we can find. And I've noticed every time I do it, it brings up different pictures. The one they want is something that's dark in here. So I'm just going to choose this one right here. And make sure that you click on Insert. Now notice down here, there isn't any text. Sometimes you're going to see text that will give you information and you can delete that. This one does not have it, so not to worry about it in here if it doesn't have it, if the one that you do has it. So let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the picture they want, and you can see what's here, and you can just delete that in here. So it tells us in 4 to get rid of all that stuff. So in the Picture Tools Format tab, the adjust. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, and I'm going to go into the width and the height. I'm making sure that aspect ratio is corrected or selected, and I'm just going to choose 3 and click OK. It's going to have you adjust it later on anyway, so we'll go back in here, and it wants us in the Picture Tools. We want to go to Adjust in here. So here's our picture format. Here's our Adjust, and we can play with the colors. Now the other one was black and white, so we're going to use Recolor, and it wants us to do blue accent 1, which I believe is this. That's blue accent 1 dark, blue accent 1 light. So you can see it changed the colors in here. And in the picture styles, we want a picture border, which will be blue accent 1. So it should be this. And then it tells us to deselect the graphic, and then it tells us to reselect it. So we're clicking deselect, and now we're reselecting, and then we're going to go to layout options, and we're going to click square. So here is square here. So now you can see it fits in line over here instead of being separate in here. The text wraps around. Move the position the pointer over the graphic where it changes. Drag the graphics down to the green so it tops aligns with the first paragraph. This is the first paragraph here. So I'm just dragging it down and you'll see a green line, and we're lined with the margin on the left, so that looks good. So this is what it shows here before we resize the picture. Obviously we have a different picture, and it tells us to deselect it and save our changes. So that is all I'm going to do for this one right here. I'm going to put this and redo this one.